And welcome to the Tuesday Night Podcast here from Joey D's. I'm John Mussone with Coach John Peacock. And Coach, Manatee came to town. Obviously, no matter what the situation is, I think Manatee will always be a rival. This year, they're obviously not up to their expectations, or they're up to their standards, let's say. 0-6, and they did look like an 0-6 team on Friday night. But we did play a really, really good game. We had a little lull in the second quarter, but otherwise, I think they didn't play down to the competition.
We came out and took care of business right away. The offense scored the first two drives very quickly with a great tempo. So that was one thing I was happy about. Manatee is definitely down, and we could have came out and played to their level, but we did not, which is what I've been trying to beat in these guys' head for the last couple of weeks. But you know, one thing about it, Manatee looked the part. I mean, they weren't physically. It wasn't like we played Lakewood Ranch, and we handled Lakewood Ranch, and we kind of both said, they were coached really well, and it looked like they had a lot of things going for them, and they just physically weren't there yet. And I think that's not the same case with Manatee. I think they physically were there. I think they've let the season kind of snowball on them, and obviously when you go to Manatee, you probably have some sort of expectations of how the season's going to go, or how your football career is going to go. And I think maybe they've had a very, very tough schedule. Their schedule has not been easy. And you're talking about Lakeland, Osceola, Venice, Palmetto, and there was a couple others that were very, very high quality opponents. And to start the season out like that, and you keep taking these chinks in your armor, I mean, stuff can kind of snowball on you. I think that's what's kind of happened. I think they maybe need to, take a step back and just say, hey, all right, let's just go to our basics here, and kind of see where it falls out the rest of the year.
I've had the good opportunity to be in press boxes in some years twice with the Manatee radio guys, and they're really nice guys. Always they're rooting hard for their team, and we're doing the same. But at the end of the day, whatever the outcome, they've always been very kind and very gracious either way. With that, I asked them. I said, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And they said a bunch of stuff. You couldn't pinpoint. He said, "I can't pinpoint one thing or whatever, but it's just you'll see it when you see it, you'll know what it is." And he was right. You couldn't pinpoint that it was the offensive line, or it was this, or it was that. It looked like a multitude of things that were just everything was just out of sync. Right. They were there, they lined up okay, but just like when everything started, it was one guy that maybe not doing his route right. You can maybe pick that out. One time, the little line didn't block well. It just was one thing after the other.
Right.
And once it keeps going, it just picks up momentum, and that's where they're at, I think.
Yeah, so hopefully they can, they'll get a chance to kind of pull everything together and maybe pull out some wins, because they do have some talented players on their field. So I think it's still salvageable. I don't know how their district is or how that lines up, but obviously it's we're about midway through the year, so there's a good chance that they can kind of pull it all together.
Yeah. With that, Venice Indians, we'll talk about them on Friday night. Offense played well. I think the D line really asserted itself really well in regards to putting pressure on the quarterback and stuff on the run where they needed to. Individually, we talked in the coaches show earlier. Alvin Johnson had a breakout game for him, being his first chance to start with DJ Escort on the bench with a few injuries.
Yeah, Alvin had a great game, but more importantly, the offensive line has been playing fantastic, and the running backs and the receivers, and those are going to be the guys that get all the credit. But up front, our guys up front are playing really, really well, and they're doing a good job of not only protecting the quarterback, but they're doing a good job of getting off the ball and creating run lanes for our running backs. So that's one thing that we're really happy about is our offensive line and our tight end. Our tight end, Austin Bray, has been doing an unbelievable job blocking, not only in line when he's attached to the offensive line, but also when he's flexed out. He's a 100% guy. He gives full effort, and he just wants to play football, and he does his job every single snap, and he tries to put that fella over there in the water coolers every time he gets a chance to.
And we talked about earlier in the year about finishing blocks. we looked at 2 screenplays where we saw MG and I think it was Allen and Kiskin
yep.
On the screenplays where they were blocking
And Cleary.
20 yards downfield.
Yeah.
And then on one of the runs on one of Alvin's touchdowns, both Cleary and MG were in the end zone with their guy.
Yeah.
So you can't stop the guy when you're in the end zone. You know?
Yeah, that was MG's first start, and his ceiling is unbelievable. The kid has only been playing football for 7 weeks now, and the product we started with was someone that didn't know what hand to put down in the stance,
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about a cadence, didn't know the difference of run and pass, and now he's starting on the offensive line, and he's doing a heck of a job. And he's a guy that's going to continue to, you're going to see very, very big gains from him week to week as far as improvement, and to where we're at right now and to where we were 6 weeks ago is absolutely amazing. And I think we're going to be saying the same thing when we look back in 4 weeks and say where we were at 4 weeks ago to where we're at now is amazing. So, Coach Butler and Coach Hunter have done a great job of getting that young man ready. And I know Coach Hunter spends a lot of time with him, Zooming every night to get him ready. So, it's paid off. Those are some things, like we said in the beginning of the year, like we had a lot of guys that had experience on the offensive line, and we weren't even really counting MG. And now he's can become a guy that's starting, and hopefully, the sooner we can get back Peevely, then it's only just going to add to everything.
Because he's the guy we saw a lot of pancake blocks out of as well,
Yeah.
finishing blocks, going downfield. So he's got that sort of, and we're just pointing out certain things, but I think everybody has had an opportunity, especially on the O-line, to really show what they're all about.
Oh yeah, there's been, that's probably the area where we've had the most rotation and the biggest amount of opportunity that has been given out. So, with that being said, right now I feel like we're in a pretty good shape. We have, we got Cleary at 6'5", and we got MG at 6'7" at tackles, and then inside, Ramey, who's committed to the Naval Academy, who his natural position is going to be an inside player anyway.
He's a guard. Yeah.
So it just makes us so much better. And then you have Kiskin. Who's a 2-year starter, and then right behind him, hopefully we get Peevely back, who's a 2-year starter, and then we have Allen, who's a 2-year starter at center. Right.
So you got guys who there's experience. We even said you go eight deep with guys who have had starting experience.
Yeah. Then Maganelli's made a couple of starts. He started at guard for us. He started at tackle for us. So we have an unbelievable amount of experience on the offensive line.
Yeah, that's invaluable to have that level of experience. Game this week, Naples Gulf Coast. District game. Obviously, we emphasize the importance of the district games. We haven't seen them. We played. I think we've never played them. Have we? Or I'm trying to think. I'm trying to reference in my head going backwards.
No, we were on the verge of playing them a couple times. So I've actually been down at their school and scouted them, or maybe it was a team
they were playing.
That
possibly?
they were playing. I think it was back when I think they played Braden River a few times in the playoffs.
I think you're right.
And it was either Braden River or Gulf Coast, and we had a week off, and we went down and seen them. So they always have good athletes. This year they have a really good quarterback, and like we talked about on the coaches show, that there's anytime you have a quarterback that's doing a really nice job, it's always going to present problems and always gives you a chance to win. Yeah,
and they're again. They're coming in here sort of, they don't know, they haven't seen us, they've only heard or done whatever, or seen us in paper write-ups or whatever. So they're going to come in super sky high, and they're going to throw everything at us. So you got to. That's another thing. The teams are going to come in. Maybe they feel like they're a little undermanned against us in some cases. Do you sit there and prepare and say, watch for anything? I mean, especially on defense. You got to be like, you got to look at them and say, well, these guys might be double passing us. They may be end arounding us all night. Are you looking for that, or are you looking for them just to kind of play their game? I mean,
no, we kind of prepare just what we see on film, and kind of prepare for their base stuff, and just play your keys and your responsibility. And that usually, if you're doing that, it'll take care of the trick plays. But I think that like I said, they got a really good quarterback. I think physically we're going to outman them physically. That doesn't mean that we're a better football team. I just think that physically we're going to be stronger and bigger than them. but I don't know. Obviously us not having experience with them, I don't know the toughness factor or anything like that involved with their program.
One thing I will think probably haven't seen yet is our tempo on offense. We talked about it a little bit on the broadcast on Friday about you can see that even with a team that's playing at its peak against us, that one portion of it, the speed of that particular offense is very difficult to get used to.
Yeah, when we get things rolling and we get the ref to spot the ball, it's it's tough to stop, especially like I said, if we have some tempo going and we're moving the ball, it makes it extremely tough. Especially if we can, the faster we can go, and kind of the more basic we can get, and just kind of move the ball here, throw a quick pass, move the ball, take a shot down deep, run the ball. So we can get involved. We can get the ball rolling like that and keep the ball moving. We are tough to stop.
58 plays in the first half. That's how many plays we ran on offense. 58 plays is a great game on a normal high school football game for an offense. You had 58 in the first half, not many in the second. Running clock came pretty quick, so you didn't get a chance to have as many plays. But you got to think about that. That defense on Manatee that last week had played a full game in the first half. And and especially we're talking about they're really not up to speed right now.
Shows.
Yeah. They're like, you got to think of how their brains are operating. Like, what is going on around here? I don't have a second to kind of get myself back together again. That one deep breath, and you're putting your hand on the ground, and that guy who just whipped my butt's going to whip my butt again. What's going to happen here? So it's got to be difficult. So I think that they obviously. I don't think they can prepare for it. If you're Naples Gulf Coast, if you've never seen it before, I don't think you can.
Yeah, if you don't actually do it yourself, you can't emulate it with any success, because it would be kind of chaos. That's kind of how it is with us when we start doing it. And so yeah, it would be hard. Just like if we were preparing for a wing T team, it would be hard for us to emulate.
Sure.
But we would try to do our best job. But obviously, when we get in the game and you're playing a good wing T team, it's going to look totally different.
Yeah, and so I think with that, they're coming up here, and I don't know what their crowd is normally like, but we've been to our 2 away games this year, or maybe 3 with Northwestern, and our crowd is bigger, I should say, than the home team's crowd. And then they come to Venice, and it's a bad night is 2,500, and not 400. And so that's got to be the next thing you walk in the stadium. You're kind of dealing with what you heard of, and the speed of the game, and then the crowd, and everything else. So
hopefully we get a good crowd, because it's the all class reunion.
Yeah. So all you Venice grads like myself, come on out before you go to your designated party place, I guess you would say, wherever you're supposed to go to. Come out to the game first and watch the Indians. Hopefully put a big win on Naples Gulf Coast and another district victory. With that, we'll take our halftime break right here and come back and talk a little more football stuff. Maybe not everything Venice, maybe we'll talk a little about some other things that happened this weekend. With that, enjoy some commercials. We'll be back here in a few minutes.
Absolute Aluminum is proud to introduce our new 7-inch seamless gutter system. Standard gutters are too narrow to handle heavy Florida rain. This overflow can cause streaks and stains on your gutter and home, plus wash out your landscaping. Our new wider 7-inch gutter system will keep everything looking clean and beautiful. And with our professional installation, your new gutters will go up fast and last. So call now to increase your home's curb appeal with our new 7-inch gutters from Absolute Aluminum.
It's time for monster size savings during Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram's Monster Sales Event. Get a ghoulishly good deal on a Ram 1500 from only $279 per month during Ram Power Days. No tricks, just treat yourself to a new Jeep Grand Cherokee from only $279 per month during Jeep Adventure Days. Or drive a lightning fast Dodge Charger from only $349 per month. It's the Monster Sales Event going on now at Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice. Who has monster size savings? Douglas does!
back here at Joey D's for the second half of our podcast tonight. Just so everybody knows as well, Joey D's this Friday will not be open after the game, but before the game they will be. We're just taking a little break, giving a chance to recharge the batteries a little bit, especially with the all-class reunion going on. It's kind of hard to say where people are going to go, and if they're Venice people and they've graduated from Venice High School, they're probably going to go where their buddies are. So we're going to give them a little break, and then we'll have a few things to announce regarding coming back here in the next week or so. So keep track of that, and when you can get a chance to come out to Joey D's, support them. We would appreciate it, and they would appreciate it too. With that, we kind of tickled a little bit the idea about talking about the district, because it is getting to that point of the year. You're beyond the midway point in regards to your schedule.
Right.
You've got 2 more district games coming up this week against Naples Gulf Coast, and then Riverview in 2 weeks after the Cardinal Gibbons game. Really, it's for everything looks that's going to be Venice Riverview is going to be the district championship game. And so
what if we can win Friday night?
Right. I'm sort of foreshadowing.
So right now you got Sarasota, New Era. Sarasota is 0-2. They've lost to us and they've lost to Riverview. You got Venice, who is 1-0, who beat Sarasota. We're 2-0. So Sarasota and Lakewood Ranch, and then you have Lakewood Ranch, who is 1-1. I'm sorry, 0-2. They've lost to Gulf Coast and us. And then you have Riverview and Gulf Coast, who I want to say they're both
1-0.
1-0.
I think, because they played Sarasota,
Right.
Riverview did, and Gulf Coast played Lakewood Ranch.
Lakewood Ranch. I don't think they've played any other district games. So, if everything goes according to what the smart people in the paper who say, it will come down to us and Riverview, and they are. I've seen a little bit of film, and they are unbelievable. I mean, they have a 2-quarterback system. They got one guy back there who's a drop back passer who was actually transferred from Venice, who can absolutely sling it and put the ball on the spot. And then they got a dual threat guy who, like Lamar Jackson, who can run it and throw it. Coach Josh Spurrier does an unbelievable job with them. I mean, he's dialing up, all kinds of concepts to start the game that all kind of look the same, and he kind of puts the package together for each game. And there's always a little trick play in that package to try to get a big chunk play to start the game. And they got a receiver who is really the real deal. He's a 4-star guy. He's actually related to our JV tight end. Cato, yeah. So I think they're half brothers, and he is. I want to say he's probably like 6'3", 6'4", but he's put together like he's a Chad, not Chad Johnson, but Megatron.
Oh, like Calvin Johnson.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's a big kid. I mean, he looks like a linebacker, but he's playing wide receiver, and he's athletic. And anytime you got a guy like that, and we had a guy like that with Malachi, who no one could, he couldn't line up against, and just kind of no one could kind of say, hey, we're just going to cover him with our guy. So that's kind of what they have, and so we're going to have a tough time. It's going to, if we can just stay in that game, I'll be happy.
Well, again, and the big part, another part of that is that you're familiar with each other. You play each other all the time. Now you're in the district. That's a different whole different level of
means a little bit
of
more
rivalry. But they've been consistent with the coaching staff. They've been, and they've had success against Venice, and a lot to do with what that coaching staff has done. And that they've been down the road with.
They have a lot of success
and everything else.
A lot of success with us. So. They're not going to come in scared, or they're not going to read the clippings about us. They're going to come in and they're going to know they can beat us.
Yeah,
because they've done it before.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If wherever you're looking at, if your coin is flipped, and you're playing a team that's ranked number 1 in 8A like we are, or whatever, do you talk about it or do you not talk about it? Would you emphasize it?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I would talk about it if we were playing if we were playing a team that was had our rankings and all that stuff that really don't mean a whole lot. I would absolutely talk about it and build it up. I mean, last year Riverview was ranked above us.
Sure.
I talked a lot about it, and we went out and we beat them 35-7, and You know, we fumbled twice inside the 10. You know, so you know, absolutely, I would build that up.
In a game like that, where you know it's going to be a close game, hard fought. You just mentioned turnovers, penalties, whatnot. They're always going to play a major part in games like that. Special teams as well. We have been playing, you know, when ball is kicked to us, we can get our hands on it. Looks like our special teams are up to the task. With Jay Sean had a nice punt return for a touchdown, and then obviously we doing some other things on special teams as well.
We had a touchdown on kickoff call back last week. We've done really well on you know, getting some yardage on kickoff returns and kind of flipping the field on that. So you know, special teams has been playing very well, but Riverview's always been known for their special teams as well. Their kicker.
Well, that's the thing, because they've always had great kickers, you know,
right.
and so that's when you know. It's funny you say that they're good, because most of the teams that you would say are your better opponents usually are good in all three phases.
Right.
There's not a giant drop off. Surprisingly, when we played Edgewater, they had no special teams. They couldn't punt the ball. They couldn't do hardly anything, and that was sort of, for a team as good as they are.
Right.
You know, that was probably the first time I walked away and said, man, that's a team that's a state semifinal team, and they don't have that part of the game taken care of.
Or they just had a bad night.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it could have been something you never heard, but that's the thing, so you know that, you know, again, all three phases, we're talking about how we can do things. You know, Riverview's going to be able to put something on there.
Yeah.
You're punting to a guy, and you better be on your toes. You can't go out there and, you know, and that's one thing too with coaching special teams, with Krill, Kotoff, end zone, deep kick, whatever it may be. But every once in a while, it doesn't go 60; it goes 59 yards.
Yeah.
You know, and those
And
kids are watching that ball.
that's the worst place for it to be.
Yeah, and so you gotta keep those kids motivated when they're running down the field, or when they're before that, saying, "Hey, be ready. If this doesn't get there, you better be ready." And I've noticed that on a few occasions, they've been very much up to the task so far this season.
Yeah, our coverage team has been very good this year on both punts and kickoffs. We did let Manatee flip the field on us one time last week, but other than that, we've been pretty consistent on doing a good job of covering kicks.
Another thing, talking about when early in the game against Manatee, how we got off to a great start again, scored on our first drive, and then you kick off to them, and then they can't do anything, and the field position just turns into it's such a tough battle when you're down at your 20 and you don't get a first down and you punt to the 50-yard line. Now that same offense that's run down the field on you 75 yards is on the 50.
Right.
Opens up the playbook, and now all of a sudden that's when that momentum starts to really kick in. And your tempo, and it's got to be tough to maintain for the other team when it happens to them.
That's how we like to do it. Just kind of just snowball, everything kind of snowballs on them. That's kind of what we like to try to get to happen to other teams.
No doubt. Was going to mention to you a little bit. There was some significant stuff to happen. We're college football people. You're an Alabama fan. That was an interesting game on Saturday night, and I thought, and you see, I may be reading a lot into it, but you know, Nick Saban normally, when he's in a game where his team isn't playing well or something, he's a little fired up on his halftime interview. He's a little edgy, let's just say. And it seemed to me like he was sort of giving me the impression that he wasn't surprised at what was happening. Like, he didn't have that, like, you know, we're losing the game because we're making this mistake. He was talking about what they did. What did you see on Saturday night with that game? Obviously a big game with a team that you watched a little bit, and
well, they had a busted coverage for one touchdown, and it just I don't think. I think if they played again, you know, I think they figured it out. They're still going to favor Alabama,
right?
And the only thing that's weird about that is Texas A&M, they went out. That Alabama's not in the SEC championship game,
right?
So there's a good chance that happens.
Yeah, and so you don't know because Alabama.
But that may be a good thing, though.
Well, here's the thing: they're at number 5 right now in the rankings.
Yeah, so
they're going to loop back around. They're going to be in the top 4, and they'll be in the playoffs.
If they go into the SEC championship game, then you have a chance of playing Georgia and losing that to Georgia. Then you're out.
Well, and a lot of people, I mean, if you really think about it, they're saying, well, Alabama and Georgia are destined to meet each other in the SEC championship game. Do you want to have that game and have it again in a game later, or would you say, because Alabama's done this before, where they didn't make Auburn beat them, I think it was, and then they didn't get in the SEC championship game, but got in that large bid and ended up, I think, either win a national championship or whatever. So in some ways, from a redundancy perspective, you don't get the same game twice potentially, and I think that would be interesting to see how that played out. But again, it's interesting to see like these big games like high school football, home field advantage is such a big deal for in college. I mean, Florida played the way Florida's played the last couple weeks. You would think they could have been within 4 touchdowns of Alabama, but yet they were extra point away from actually being tied with them in that game, and it was because it was at home. Big portion of it. A&M, huge stadium, underrated home field advantage for Texas A&M, and they really put it on. And they think they fed off the momentum of the crowd and got it going. So that was a pretty interesting weekend. But I mean, some other things too. Looking at Iowa, Penn State, there was a 3 and 4 team. So these big games almost mimic the high school big games. Yeah. We've got big games coming up. Intersectional game for us against Cardinal Gibbons on a Saturday. Don't forget that. On the 23rd, it's a Saturday afternoon.
12:30. Yeah.
But you had those intersectional games at Texas, Oklahoma, which is an unbelievable game. You know, a lot of offense, but another great game. So these games they're all coming up, and looking forward to Cardinal Gibbons, and then of course Riverview to culminate the district season. So you got to really be excited about those games, and I think the fans start to get excited. The questions asked of me, and probably you as well, they become more intense about what's going to happen, coach, or what's going to happen with this person. How about this? And because things start to matter more and more as the season goes on.
We're coming to the end. You know, we're coming here to. This is going to be game 7. You know, so you're only guaranteed 10. So this is going to be game 7 for us, and then all of a sudden, you know, they're going to come out with the brackets, and then it's win or go home. So we're coming down to the wire here at the first, as far as football season goes. And to be honest, you know, it seems like it just started.
Yeah.
You know,
because you know it is. It's in a way how everything is. You know, weekends are 2.5 days, and Friday afternoon, whatever, and you go Saturday, Sunday. Time you get to Monday, you only got a couple more days, and you're into a game.
Well, we're 67 days away from the state championship game.
Right. So, and that's not a long way away, considering. And I think also it's just the time of the year as well. You start looking at the calendar, and it's Thanksgiving coming up, and it's Halloween coming up, and all these other things coming up. You say to yourself, "Oh my gosh, where's the time to do all this stuff?" And you're trying to get other things done. Football season is sort of crammed into that window, and so you've got to really be, you know. And I think it's hard to give perspective to the kids. I mean, they're kids. When you're a kid, you don't think of. You say, "Hey guys, these next 3 or 4 games is all you're promised.
That's
so
right.
What are you going to do with it?" And I know I'm sure I'm sure they hear it. I'm sure they probably understand it, but to what level, I wouldn't know, because I know a lot of it seemed like football season was forever when I was in high school.
Right.
It didn't seem like it didn't blink. It seemed like, wow, this is a long deal.
Yeah, it goes by quick. It goes by quick.
When it starts to go, it does go really, really quick. Any other games locally you're looking at, as far as, you know, obviously the district's going to have some stuff playing out?
Well, you know, a big one this week is you got Gibbons versus St. Thomas.
Okay.
Or the Devil.
And Gibbons beat them last year, correct?
Gibbons beat them last year, so they play Saturday at 7. So we won't get that film until late Saturday night. So they play Saturday at 7 at FAU.
Is that good to see them play a film on, like a St. Thomas film, as opposed to a team that they could handle, let's say?
Yeah, good. You know, but you know, usually when you're playing teams of, you know, that are high quality teams, you know what you're going to get. You kind of know what look you're going to get. To whereas you're playing, sometimes you play teams that aren't a traditional powerhouse and haven't done it consistent over and over and over again. You kind of don't know what you're going to end up with Friday night. You kind of don't know what look you're going to get. They may change their whole deal up just for you on that night. Whereas like you play like a Lakeland, Edgewater, a Cardinal Gibbons, St. Thomas, teams like that. You kind of know what look you're going to get when you line up, or what they're going to line up to what formation, how you're going to get a look, and what their blitzes are going to be. You're not going to see a whole lot of new stuff. It's just that they do it real well.
Right.
You know?
Before we go, golf tournament. Anything you want to say about the golf tournament? I mean,
we're full again. But if you are a business out there that wants to sponsor, you still have time if you want to be a whole sponsor. But we got a full field of 54 teams. That, you know, we're going to have 3 different 9s. I think this is like the 5th or 6th year in a row that we've sold out our entire golf event.
It's been.
It's one of the best events.
If we didn't fill it out, it's because somebody canceled late. or something along those lines, or somebody couldn't make it. But it's been always. It seems like it's been right up at that capacity number every time.
It's a great tournament. A lot of people support it. We have a lot of volunteers that help make it run smoothly. A lot of local businesses, like Chick-fil-A. You got all these other vendors that come out and give food, and there's drinks at every hole, and it's just a really nice event.
And you're right, because we talked about on the coaches show a little bit, but when I get there, it's it's 7 o'clock in the morning, whatever it may be. See, there's a lot of familiar faces. The volunteers that are there, a lot of them have been doing it as long as we've been doing it.
That's a fun day for them too.
They love it.
Yeah.
They're having the best time. They're people that don't even they don't care to golf. Right. They're just out there and say, I'll drive a golf cart and I'll bring the drinks around or do whatever it may be. I'll help out in the morning. I'll do this. Everybody knows the routine. There's rarely anybody, there's always one person losing their mind because they're trying to get everything together, but nonetheless, the people who are doing it, they're having a good time, and the guys and gals that are rolling up as golfers, because the system is so well put together. Your clubs are valeted off your vehicle, you park, you go to check in. If you're paid, you got to check off whatever you go through. You get your mulligans and your raffle tickets and your
breakfast sandwich,
your 50-50s,
your coffee,
Chick-fil-A breakfast sandwich, a beverage over here, or whatever it may be, and then it runs really smooth. And having 27 holes is a really cool thing. It's not Waterford, so when they have 27 holes, the opportunity to kind of put that many golfers out there, it still moves. It's not your 3.5 hour round at the Muni. It's going to take 5 hours, 4.5, 5 hours. But it's not the same 4.5, 5 hours when you're waiting on shots. You're there with your buddy. You might be on the tee talking to different people, and a lot of people you see some of the other fairway. It's a really nice time, well attended, well run. Waterford's done a really, really good job the last number of years that they've been involved. Kim LeBlanc and the whole staff out there do a fantastic job helping us out with that. So appreciation to them with all that stuff. And again, if you're not involved this year, get in early. That's all I can tell you, because a lot of people always say, "Oh, well, I'll decide in a week beforehand." No, that's you're 2 weeks too late when that happens, because those foursomes are in the pipeline by then. So you got to get out there early. But another great fundraiser for Venice High School football, and one that everybody gets a chance to enjoy, which I think is pretty cool. So again, if you are coming, we'll see you there. Tell us if you're there and you watch our podcast. Let me know. We want to know that you're out there. So maybe we'll start doing shout outs.
There you go.
we did shout outs at the live stream one time, and we couldn't get everybody to stop calling. So that was kind of neat. Well, Coach, big week coming up in another district game. So hopefully we're talking about another victory next week and getting ready for that oddity, which is going to be a Saturday afternoon Pal Davis Stadium game. So, and people ask me, you think it could be a lot of people will be there? I'm like, yeah. I think there's a special little interest in something that's a little different, unplanned, but obviously it worked out that we could both play on the same day, and we put together a Saturday matchup. With that, thanks to John Peacock for being here, as always, and thanks to you for watching us on the podcast. We'll see you here next Tuesday from Joey D's on our Tuesday night podcast. Have a great week.